What's going on YouTube? Hayden back making another brand new Crypto TV episode. In today's video, we will be looking at Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, as well as XRP to USD. As always, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on post notifications, leave a giant thumbs up if you like the content and want to see more. Otherwise, let's jump into today's episode. Yes, it is absolutely pouring out in today's vlog, and those are organic eggs for those who are wondering why the heck are they so orange. Otherwise, moving on to today's episode, we do have a bunch of stuff to look at. We're seeing a small retraction within cryptocurrency and the coin market cap, and I do want to discuss why, as well as we do have some pretty important news. Basically, lawmakers look to change SEC's 72-year-old securities definition to exclude cryptocurrencies. We're going to see whether or not this is a positive or a negative on the market or on the exchanges and crypto, at all. This is going to be huge historic news that we're going to be discussing. We are literally making history right now. So it is definitely going to be an interesting topic to discuss and go over. Furthermore, let's jump into today's episode. We are currently on the coin market cap. As you guys can see, yesterday we were looking at the market cap and we were at like 125 billion, and now we have a market cap of 127. So we're actually up from yesterday. I do think from yesterday's video, we went higher up and then we decided to decline, which is why the coins are looking to be quite red. So that I believe is pretty much the explanation. We are seeing increased, volume compared to yesterday. And we're seeing, I think this is actually the same Bitcoin dominance, if not slightly lower than yesterday as well. But you guys can see out of the top 10 coins, they're all practically red. Tron's the only one that is doing quite well, up 13%, which is wild. Another important thing to note is Litecoin is no longer number 7 or 8. It fell again below Bitcoin SV and Tether. You can see Litecoin is 1834. Bitcoin SV is 1837, and then Tether is 1885. So we're so neck and neck with it, we're really not far off. We even have more volume than Bitcoin SV2, which is something interesting to take note of. But otherwise, the coins are down by, I'd like to say, an average of 3% to 4%. Bitcoin down by 4%, still, above $33,000, above 35. We're still below 4,000 though, which is unfortunate. We're trying to break 4. XRP is at 35 cents, almost at 36. We see Litecoin holding $30. Hopefully it can maintain that, but majority of the market does seem to be down quite a bit. We're seeing another day of red, which is quite unfortunate. But yeah, even with a down market, there are some coins that are up double digits, which is quite renowned. Bagheera coin is up 48% on the day, which is quite wild. We see Tron up 13.9, iOS 12.9, Bytum 10.29. So quite a bit. We're seeing a lot of things up quite a bit, but unfortunately, majority of the market does seem to be down. As you guys can see here, everything is practically in red. Moving on, though, to some more important discussions, we need to discuss and look at the article by CNBC, which is pretty reputable, semi-biased, but pretty reputable. It says lawmakers look to change SEC's 72-year-old securities definition to exclude crypto. So is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Does it affect the way we are taxed? So basically, a summary of the article, the key points. We're going to be looking at crypto founders, our investors, have pushed back, and investors have pushed back on the idea that stocks and cryptos should be defined by the same rulebook, which makes sense. 2 congressmen are looking to change that the Token Taxonomy Act, a bipartisan bill being introduced to the House. This would amend the Securities Exchange Act, which established the current structure for what securities is and adds a new definition to digital tokens. These decentralized networks don't fit neatly with existing regulatory structure, says blockchain lobbyist Kristen Smith. This is a step forward to finding the right way to regulate them. So it's pretty awesome to think that, Uncle Ben, the big guys up there that are way ahead of us, are not shunning this, are not shying away from it, are not rubbing it or pushing it under the carpet. They're actually putting a lot of effort into figuring out what the heck crypto is, how to regulate it, how to tax it, what to do with it. It's not going away. If anything, it's getting more pesky to them. It's not, dwindling down. It's actually getting bigger and bigger, and they're going to definitely have to make some sort of step into the future and discuss how exactly to regulate this. Otherwise, it might get out of hand. But it is a good sign, honestly, to see that now Congress and those big people in the SEC are now paying more attention to crypto. It says Congress may finally bring the crypto industry what it has been loudly calling for, regulatory clarity, which I know a lot of you guys want too. Two congressmen are introducing a bill Thursday that would exclude digital currencies from the decades-old definition of a security. The legal definition might seem like an insignificant change, but it has become a heated issue for those in the industry who say the law is outdated for a digital asset class. The Token Taxonomy Act, a bipartisan effort by Reps Warren Davidson, R. Ohio, and Darren Soto, defined a digital token and clarifies that security laws will not apply to cryptocurrencies once they become a fully functioning network. In the early days of the internet, Congress passed a legislation that provided certainty and resisted the temptation to overregulate the market. Our intent is to achieve a similar win for America's economy and for American leadership in the innovative space. A major concern for lawmakers and regulators has been consumer protection. Retail investors made speculative bets on Bitcoin and other cryptos last year, and many have lost big as the crypto bubble burst. Bitcoin is down 71% this year, while XRP is the second largest, and is down by 85% this year, according to data from CoinDesk. So that's another interesting thing to look at. Everyone hating on Bitcoin, believe it or not, Ripple, or XRP more specifically, is down more than Bitcoin was, which can be looked at in two ways. It got hit harder. People want out of it more, but it could also be a positive that maybe Bitcoin is headed in that route too, and XRP is one step further. You know, this is another way to think about it. Could it be that XRP has finally finished its bear trend and is finally into an accumulation sort of play, or if not, maybe even a bullish move in the near future? You know, is Bitcoin still headed lower? Is Bitcoin trying to head to 85? And, you know, XRP already met it first. Some things to discuss and talk about. But it's definitely a very interesting discussion, the fact that the Supreme Court and the Congress are talking about it. It says a recurring complaint from crypto participants is the idea of applying a 72-year-old securities law to digital currencies. The Securities Exchange Commission, SEC, uses what's known as the Howey test, which comes from a 1946 U.S. Supreme Court decision involving a Floridian citrus farmer to determine whether or not crypto is a security. I just want to see the length of this because it's not too long, but here we are. Where did we go? No. It says the Supreme Court determined that by any transaction that qualifies as an investment contracts are considered securities. According to the SEC, an investment contract exists if a person invests his money in a common enterprise and is led to expect profits solely from the efforts of the promoter of a third party. But experts say those standards should be more nuanced for digital assets. Many of these cryptos are also blockchain software platforms, meaning you can build on top of them. They are also capable of being traded without an intermediary, making them far different from your average stock on NASDAQ. These decentralized networks don't fit neatly within existing regulatory structure. So there's definitely some concern, and that has been brought up within the SEC and Congress, and they seem to, they're testing, they're pushing it, they're trying to figure out, where this is going to go and how far it is going to last. But I guess to wrap things up for this article, it's very easy to find. Just search, SEC law or lawmaker look to change SEC 72 year. If you want to see more of this article, I don't want to read the whole thing. It says, though, that the SEC has cracked down on numerous crypto projects last year. Some ICOs have been proven to be outright frauds. Others have been prosecuted for less egregious violations. I believe I pronounced that right, like not registering with the agency. The issue has slowly gained some momentum in Congress, like I just talked about earlier this month. Soto, the other member of the House, are introduced two bills that could bring more oversight and less opacity to cryptocurrency industries. This week's bill is largely symbolic. Friday is likely the last Congress is in session, and the bill will need to be reintroduced next year. It shows that the momentum on both sides is interesting among bipartisan members. So basically what they're doing is they're pretty much, if you think about it, they're going to make a bill strictly and solely on digital cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, XRP. Those are the ones that are known. Maybe XLM. Those are the big ones at play. These could literally legitimize crypto and legitimize, Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum and XLM due to the fact that if if the Congress and an SEC makes a specific bill dedicated towards these cryptos, it's pretty much legitimizing what they are. It's saying these aren't, scams. These aren't something you should be afraid of. There's legitimate, truth behind all of them, and it may be something to look at because, dedicating a whole bill solely to crypto and digital assets is a big step into the future. So continuing on from that, we're still on Litecoin's 4-hour, and we do have some stuff to discuss. I did say yesterday that we were in an uptrend, and I did say yesterday we were retesting a pretty high point in crypto. We did actually manage to move up to around $33 for Litecoin, but a pullback was needed. On Litecoin's 4-hour, like I said in yesterday's video, a small retracement was being looked for. You saw that we had a support at around $29.30. We are currently below that by 25 cents, but it can still hold. We did just need a dip out of retesting overbought. We needed to pull back down. That is exactly what we did. We pulled all the way back down to our recent support at $29.84, $30 around that region. So if this does hold, that is definitely a good sign. We're back at around 49.50 on our relative strength indicator, and it's in due time we would most definitely pull back up and continue to move up higher. In the advent that doesn't happen, our next support obviously is our high-low MMA, probably around $28.50, $28.30 is the strong support. You see the green band crossed over the red band, so it's an indicator that we are slightly moving up in the more short term of things. But that small pullback was declared in yesterday's video if you weren't watching. As you guys can see, when I zoom out, we're looking at Litecoin's daily now. This uptrend, like I said yesterday and today, doesn't have much value. It's not really that legit. And I did say this because when we look at, coins on the 4-hour, it's so in depth, it's hard to call. Only calls can be made for that day, if not the next day, but more so that day. So looking at things on the daily, a more macro economic standpoint, we can see that this shot us up. This doesn't really hold that well, the support. We could even delete it, but we do see that what is really strong is this resistance right here. We can see where we've had some issues with it in the past. We've had some days where we were using it as a support as well as a resistance. You can see that's currently what we are doing, but even on Litecoin's daily, we're nowhere near oversold. We're currently at 50. Gives us plenty of room to continue to move up. So it looks like, furthermore, in the long term of things, we're headed to our high-low MMA. I do think we're going to see some slight resistance, definitely some resistance at around $34, maybe $34.20. That is definitely going to be a pretty interesting time. We're definitely gaining on there. We're getting closer, but we could, if we do break through that, see a $40 Litecoin fairly quick due to the fact that we are still below our high-low MMA on Litecoin's daily, and we do need to head there fairly soon. Looking at Bitcoin's daily charts, if we looked at its 4-hour, we would probably see, again, we were nearing overbought or were overbought, and we needed that pullback. That is exactly what we're seeing right now. Again, very similar to Litecoin, it looks like we're trying to head back up to that high-low MMA. So seeing a $5,000 Bitcoin in the more or less mid-term, moderate term, so not in the long term, but also not in the short term, maybe in a week, a couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, a month, we would see a $5,000 Litecoin. The way this pattern is heading, we seem to have found a bottom. We seem to have found a support at 36.60. It looks like we're trying to head back up, slowly consolidate and creep up to around that $5,000 mark, retesting the bottom of the high-low MMA for Bitcoin. Looking on to Ethereum seems to be acting quite different. We saw it yesterday pull out of finally, after months of tracking Ethereum, we finally decided to find a support at $80, held it quite well. And you could see no volume at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, almost 2 weeks of zero volume within this market, trading literally borderline oversold. Actually, we were oversold for quite some time. You can see right there. I'll just slide it over right here. We were oversold. And you can see we finally got an inject of volume into the market, testing its bottom and shot up with an explosive force, driving us through the downtrend. And it currently looks like we're going to move back down and most definitely retest the top of the downtrend. But if things go according to plan, it could bounce off that and head right up to 180, if not 150 in that region. There is some slight resistance right up here at 173. You can see right there where I'm referring to. There's also, you know, it's actually at a support right now, currently at 105. So if that holds, that'll be quite nice. We can zoom in really quick to its 4 hour and probably see that it was, overbought. That is exactly what we're seeing. So looking at Ethereum now on its 4 hour charts, you can see what we were talking about. Okay, so right here, we found a support, at $80 exactly. Beautiful support. Exploded off there with, extreme force. You can see it had an uptrend. Blew right past its high-low MMA. Clearly some resistance trying to break through that. Kind of more steps here. But we broke through. You can see getting crammed in the downtrend. And then I'm going to even zoom in closer because of how beautiful this looks. You can see we got crammed right in here between the downtrend and our supports right here, that high-low MMA. We managed to blow through that. So we could either come back down. I don't think we're actually going to retest the downtrend again now that we're out of it. I think we may hit that high-low MMA. It is possible that we, either fall down to 103, if not $100. I cannot see Ethereum breaking through $100 anytime soon. The fact that we just broke through it doesn't make sense for us to head back down there. And lastly, to wrap things up for those XRP hodlers, you can clearly see what the issue is right now on XRP. It's not overbought yet. It's kind of up there. Actually, it's at 51-ish on its RSI. But you can see the resistance it's facing right now. We also found a bottom at around 28 cents, 29 cents. And you can see it exploded off that, retested its uptrend, its resistance, its high-low MMA, that green band, and it's basically had 3 days of issues trying to break through that. So with enough volume, we could potentially break through that and trade in between that channel right there. But otherwise, that's our biggest hurdle right now, is trying to break through that 40-cent barrier. Otherwise, that's going to sum up today's video, guys. We're